Breaking down the comeback bill. What just happened in Washington? Let's start with what just happened in Washington, because this is not a routine headline, and it's not something seniors should ignore. Over the past few days, reports have emerged about a newly passed piece of legislation being referred to as the Comeback Bill. According to the information circulating from Capitol Hill, this bill is being positioned as part of a broader economic recovery effort tied to former President Trump's economic strategy. And the reason it's drawing so much attention is simple. It involves direct cash payments, potentially as high as $3,200, aimed at Americans who rely on federal benefits. Now, before emotions run high, it's important to slow down and look at this the way a policy analyst would, carefully, logically, and based on what is actually being claimed. The central promise of this bill is direct financial relief, especially for people who have been hit hardest by inflation. That includes seniors, individuals with disabilities, veterans, and Americans living on fixed incomes. These are groups that, despite easing inflation headlines, are still feeling the pressure of high grocery prices, rising rent, higher utility bills, and increasing prescription drug costs. What makes this development stand out is the speed at which the proposal reportedly moved. According to the narrative, this legislation went from committee discussion to passage in both chambers much faster than most expected. Support allegedly came from both sides of the aisle, which is rare in today's political climate, and that bipartisan support is a big reason why many analysts are paying close attention. The bill is being described not as a traditional stimulus, but as a restoration package. That language matters. The framing suggests that lawmakers are acknowledging something many seniors have been saying for years. Even when economic indicators improve on paper, life does not suddenly become affordable again for people living on Social Security, SSI, or SSDI. At the heart of the proposal is a one-time relief payment of up to $3,200 per person. Early outlines indicate that recipients of SSI and Social Security disability insurance may be among the first groups prioritized. The idea is to use existing government systems, mainly the Social Security Administration and the U.S. Treasury, to distribute funds automatically without requiring applications, forms, or new eligibility reviews. If true, that would represent a major shift away from the red tape that has delayed past relief efforts. For seniors, that's a critical point. Many people simply cannot navigate complex application processes, especially under financial stress. But here's the key takeaway for Part 1. This bill is being positioned as economic relief with urgency, not a symbolic gesture. It reflects growing pressure on Washington to act, and to act quickly before the end of the year, particularly as the holiday season approaches. In the next part, we'll dig deeper into why this bill exists now, what economic forces pushed it forward, and why inflation, despite official reports, is still squeezing millions of American households. Why this bill exists now, inflation, fixed incomes, and economic pressure. To understand why the comeback bill is gaining traction right now, we need to look beyond political headlines and focus on the economic reality facing millions of Americans, especially seniors and people living on fixed incomes. On paper, inflation may appear to be cooling. Government reports show that headline inflation numbers have eased compared to their peak. But here's the critical issue. Lower inflation does not mean lower prices. It simply means prices are rising more slowly. And for people relying on Social Security, SSI, or SSDI, that distinction matters a great deal. Everyday essentials remain expensive. Grocery bills are still significantly higher than they were just a few years ago. Rent continues to climb in many regions, utility costs fluctuate but remain elevated, especially for heating and electricity, and prescription drug prices, despite some reforms, remain a major burden for seniors and disabled Americans. For households living paycheck to paycheck, these increases are painful. For households living on a fixed monthly benefit, they can be devastating. That's the economic backdrop driving this bill forward. Lawmakers are increasingly aware that COLA adjustments alone have not been enough to restore purchasing power. While annual Social Security increases help, they often lag behind real-world costs. Seniors feel that gap every time they go to the grocery store or pharmacy. According to reports tied to the comeback bill, this growing pressure is exactly what pushed lawmakers to act before the end of the year. The goal was not to debate long-term reform, but to provide immediate relief. This is where the $3,200 figure comes into focus. Treasury insiders reportedly indicated that the amount was not chosen at random. Instead, it mirrors past pandemic-era relief payments that many Americans relied on to stabilize their finances during crisis periods. Those payments weren't perfect, but they worked quickly. and speed is a major factor here. Another important reason for urgency is timing. As the year draws to a close, millions of seniors face higher seasonal expenses, winter heating costs rise, medical spending often increases, holiday-related costs, even modest ones, add pressure. Lawmakers pushing this bill argued that relief arriving early next year would be too late for many households already struggling. There's also a broader economic calculation at play. Injecting cash into the hands of people who are most likely to spend it, not save it, can stabilize consumer confidence. Seniors and low-income households typically use relief payments for necessities, which means that money flows directly back into the economy. In that sense, the comeback bill is not just about individual assistance. It's designed as a bottom-up economic boost. And notably, support for this bill has been described as bipartisan. Moderate Democrats reportedly joined Republicans in backing the proposal, arguing that financial relief should not be delayed by political gridlock, especially when vulnerable populations are involved. So part two boils down to this. The comeback bill exists because the economic pain is real, persistent, and concentrated among people with the least flexibility to absorb higher costs. In the next section, we'll examine what's actually inside the bill, including funding levels, system upgrades, and why this is more than just a one-time check. What's inside the comeback bill? More than just a one-time check? Now let's take a closer look at what the comeback bill actually includes, because despite the headlines focusing on the $3,200 payment, this legislation is structured to do more than just send out a single check. According to reports tied to the bill's draft language, lawmakers allocated nearly $280 billion specifically for direct payments to eligible Americans. That figure alone signals how serious this effort is meant to be. This is not a symbolic gesture or a limited pilot program. It's a large-scale distribution designed to reach millions of people quickly. But that's only part of the story. An additional $40 billion is reportedly set aside to strengthen Social Security operations. This funding is intended to improve processing capacity at the Social Security Administration, reduce backlogs, and modernize systems that have been under strain for years. For seniors and people with disabilities, that matters, because delays, errors, and long wait times can have real financial consequences. There is also mention of supplemental funding for the Department of Veterans Affairs aimed at speeding up benefit processing and clearing existing claims. Veterans, particularly those receiving disability or pension benefits, are included in the bill's priority framework. This structure reveals something important about the intent behind the comeback bill. Lawmakers are acknowledging that financial relief does not exist in a vacuum. Sending money helps in the short term, but improving how benefits are delivered helps in the long term. Faster processing, fewer administrative errors, and more reliable systems reduce stress for people who depend on these programs every single month. Another key feature of the bill is how payments are distributed. Rather than creating a new application system, the bill relies on existing federal databases. That means the Social Security Administration and the U.S. Treasury would use the same direct deposit information already on file for SSI, SSDI, and other federal benefit recipients. For seniors, this is critical. No forms to fill out, no new eligibility interviews, no confusing portals to navigate. If your information is already current in the system, the payment is designed to come to you automatically. That approach significantly reduces the risk of delays, and it also limits opportunities for fraud and misinformation. Importantly, the payment is classified as relief, not income. That means it is not taxable and does not count against benefit eligibility. It does not reduce Social Security, SSI, SSDI, Medicaid, or SNAP benefits. For many seniors, this distinction is just as important as the dollar amount itself. Another detail worth noting is that this bill is being framed as a restoration effort, not a handout. The language used by supporters emphasizes compensation for lost purchasing power rather than charity. That framing reflects growing recognition in Washington that fixed-income Americans have effectively taken a pay cut over the past several years due to inflation. So when you step back and look at the full picture, Part 3 delivers this conclusion. The comeback bill is designed to provide immediate cash relief while also reinforcing the system seniors rely on, making it more comprehensive than a typical one-time payment. In the next part, we'll focus on who qualifies first, how priority is determined, and why SSI and SSDI recipients are reportedly at the front of the line. Who gets paid first? Eligibility rules and priority order. Explained. Now let's move to the question that matters most to viewers right now. Who actually qualifies for this $3,200 payment, and in what order? Based on the outlines and reporting tied to the comeback bill, eligibility is not being handled randomly. There is a clear priority structure, and understanding that structure can help set realistic expectations about timing. At the very top of the list are SSI and SSDI beneficiaries. The reason is practical, not political. These recipients are already fully managed within the Social Security Administration system. Their income status is verified. Their banking or mailing information is already on file. That allows the Treasury to send payments quickly, electronically, and with minimal administrative delay. If you are currently receiving supplemental security income or Social Security disability insurance, you are considered active in the system. Under the proposed framework, that means no application is required. The payment would be issued automatically using the same method you receive your regular monthly benefits. Next in line are Veterans Affairs beneficiaries. This includes veterans receiving VA disability compensation or pension benefits. Similar to SSI and SSDI recipients, VA beneficiaries are already enrolled in a federal payment system, making distribution faster than for the general population. Following those groups are low-income seniors and certain taxpayers earning below $75,000 per year, provided they are not claimed as dependents. These individuals may be included in later phases once the initial rollout to benefit recipients is complete. Now, here's an important clarification. If you receive both SSI and SSDI, you will not receive two payments. The benefit is consolidated into a single $3,200 payment per person. This is a one-time relief measure, not a monthly increase. Another critical detail is the non-impact rule. The payment is classified as relief, meaning it does not count as income. That means it will not reduce or interfere with Social Security benefits, disability payments, Medicaid eligibility, SNAP benefits, or housing assistance. For seniors worried about unintended consequences, this point cannot be overstated. Let's talk briefly about timing expectations. While some recipients may see payments earlier than others, officials have emphasized that not everyone will receive the payment on the same day. Rollouts are expected to occur in phases, likely aligned with existing benefit schedules. For example, SSI recipients who normally receive payments on the first of the month may see the relief payment around the same time. Social Security disability recipients may receive it based on their birth date payment schedule. However, delays can occur, especially for individuals who recently changed banks, moved addresses, or still receive paper checks. That's why accuracy of information is essential. The key takeaway from Part 4 is this: eligibility is focused first on those already inside the federal benefit system, with speed and efficiency as the guiding principles. In the next part, we'll discuss expected payment timelines, what late November or early December really means, and why checking your SSA information right now could make all the difference. When the money could arrive, payment timelines, and what to expect. Now let's focus on timing, because for many seniors and people with disabilities, when the money arrives matters just as much as how much it is. According to the information released so far, the comeback bill is designed for rapid deployment, but not instant delivery. Even when legislation moves quickly, federal agencies still need a short administrative window to coordinate systems, verify accounts, and prepare payment files. Officials familiar with the process have indicated that this coordination period could be measured in weeks, not months. That's a critical distinction. Unlike past relief efforts that took extensive setup time, this bill relies on existing Social Security and Treasury payment infrastructure, which significantly reduces delays. So what does that mean in real terms? Current projections point to late November or early December as the earliest window for initial payments to begin. That timing is intentional. Lawmakers reportedly pushed hard to ensure funds could reach households before the end-of-year holiday season, when financial pressure is highest. However, it's important to understand how rollouts typically work. Payments are expected to be issued in phases, not all at once. The first wave would likely include SSI and SSDI recipients with active, verified direct deposit information. These individuals are the easiest to process electronically, which allows payments to move fastest. If you normally receive your benefits by direct deposit and your banking information has not changed, your payment would be routed the same way. In many cases, it could arrive on or near your regular benefit payment date. For SSDI recipients, timing may align with the familiar birth date schedule: early month birthdays first, mid-month birthdays next, late month birthdays last. This staged approach helps prevent system overload and reduces the risk of errors. For individuals who still receive paper checks or who recently updated their bank or address information, payments may take longer. Mail delivery introduces delays, and any discrepancy in records can trigger additional verification steps. That's why officials are emphasizing one simple message: check your information now, not later. Logging into your My Social Security account and confirming your direct deposit details could mean the difference between receiving your payment on time or waiting weeks longer while issues are resolved. Another factor to consider is volume. Millions of payments moving through federal systems at once increases the likelihood of staggered delivery. Seeing your neighbor or family member receive a payment before you does not necessarily mean something went wrong. It may simply reflect your place in the rollout sequence. The most important takeaway from Part 5 is this: the payment is designed to arrive quickly, but patience and preparation are essential. The system rewards accuracy. In the final section, we'll cover what you should do right now, how to avoid scams, and how to protect yourself while waiting, because major announcements like this always attract misinformation. What you should do now: staying protected, informed, and prepared. As we wrap up this analysis, let's focus on what matters most right now: what you should do, and just as importantly, what you should not do. Whenever there is a major announcement involving government payments, confusion follows. And unfortunately, so do scams. That's why preparation and awareness are essential. Step 1 is simple but critical. Log into your My Social Security account at SSA.gov. Review your direct deposit information, your mailing address, and your contact details. If your bank account has changed, if you've moved, or if anything looks incorrect, update it immediately. Incorrect information is the single biggest reason government payments get delayed or returned. Step 2. Trust only official sources. Real updates will come from SSA.gov, Treasury.gov, and verified government press releases. Be extremely cautious with social media posts, emails, phone calls, or text messages claiming to offer early access, pre-registration, or processing help. Let's be very clear. No government agency will ever ask you to pay a fee, share personal information, or click a private link to receive this payment. If someone does, it's a scam. Hang up. Delete the message. Protect your information. Step 3. Manage expectations. Even if everything is correct in your account, payments will not arrive all at once for everyone. Rollouts happen in phases. Seeing others receive their money before you does not mean you were excluded. It often simply means your payment is scheduled for a later batch. Patience, combined with preparedness, is your best strategy. Step 4. Spread accurate information. Many seniors miss legitimate benefits because they assume announcements are fake or too good to be true. If you have friends or family members who rely on SSI, SSDI, or VA benefits, encourage them to check their information and follow official updates. A simple conversation could prevent months of unnecessary delay. Now let's talk about the bigger picture. For millions of Americans, this potential $3,200 payment is not about extra spending. It's about stability. It's about catching up on bills, filling prescriptions, covering heating costs, and easing the constant stress of choosing between necessities. This bill, if implemented as described, represents a rare acknowledgement from Washington that fixed-income Americans have been falling behind, even as the economy shows signs of recovery. And whether you support the politics behind it or not, the practical impact matters. Relief that is automatic, tax-free, and does not interfere with existing benefits can provide real breathing room, especially during a financially demanding time of year. The final takeaway is this: stay calm, stay informed, stay alert, verify your information, ignore rumors, avoid scams, and rely on trusted official sources. As this story develops, official timelines and confirmations will continue to emerge. When they do, staying informed will help ensure you receive what you're entitled to without stress or setbacks. Thank you for taking the time to walk through this analysis. What happens next could have a meaningful impact on your financial security, and being prepared puts you one step ahead.